Welcome to the show, music lovers. So glad to have you here. I always talk about the wellspring of talent that we have here on Long Island, and today is not going to disappoint you. I have Tom Moran, great singer-songwriter. We talk about his Tiny Desk audition for NPR, as well as some great tips on how he develops the muse and how he progressed in his musical journey. Hey, let's get started. Hey, everybody. I am so excited today. I have a returning guest to the Long Island Sound podcast. He's a singer-songwriter from the South Shore. I don't know, North Shore, South Shore, there's this kind of back and forth, Some of the people in Huntington claim to be the best singer-songwriters. I'm kind of torn between two shores. But I want to welcome back to the Long Island Sound podcast, Tom Moran. Hey, Tom, good to see you. Good to have you back.
Good to see you, too.
So you've got a lot going on. You've got some new releases coming out. But before, we're going to leave the new release towards the end of our conversation, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
But as I was saying off camera, I saw that you put together a Tiny Desk NPR video. Tell me about how you found out about it. I've seen the Tiny Desk thing, but I didn't think it was opened up for an audition, so to speak.
Well, I've known of the Tiny Desk thing for a long time. I've seen a lot of my favorite artists. I've discovered artists on there too. And last year, a friend of mine said, "Oh, they're doing the contest. You should submit." And I was like, I didn't know what it was. So I looked it up, and I thought, why not? For fun. It's a free contest. That's the reason why I did it. Because if I had to pay, I probably wouldn't have done it. But
right.
You make a video. You record yourself playing an unreleased song. You can't be a signed artist.
Okay.
And you put it up on YouTube. You send the link to the NPR website. And, many people submit. And they pick a few finalists and one top winner who I guess goes and does an official Tiny Desk concert. And then you're called into their studio, I guess, in Manhattan. Yeah, you go and do a real NPR Tiny Desk, and it's great exposure, and people have launched their careers doing that. Yeah. So are there parameters as far as length or anything like that? Besides you being an unsigned artist, original music, obviously, you're not going to do a cover on, I would assume, right? Are there any other restrictions or regulations? Yeah, it has to be an original song, unreleased, can't be signed, and can't be no lip singing. It has to be very live and very raw. So They really encourage you to use, one camera, no editing, maybe one microphone, like very, very raw audio. So that's what I did. I just threw up one microphone and a camera and tried to get the lighting as good as I could and made it very simple.
You want to say what song you did?
Yeah, it's called Feel It. It's a folk finger-picked kind of drop D tuning. It reminds me a little bit of Nick Drake. And I wrote it in New Jersey a few summers ago. And it just kind of sat in my phone for a while. And when I decided I was going to enter this year, I was like, well, what am I going to do? It has to be unreleased. And that song was the first thing that popped in my head, so I just went for it.
All right. So you've got the Tiny Desk thing, you've put it in, and now it's going to be like at least a few weeks before you hear anything back. Do the winners just hear back, or do they thanks for sending that in and that's it? Or you don't know?
They send some emails out. They kind of go into my promotions folder. So I don't know. I just figure, if I win, I'll get an email about it, but I'm not expecting anything like that. I kind of just entered for the experience and for fun, And you never know. You never know who the judges are or who's going to see it. And
yeah, it's true, And we touched on this off camera. Is you have to have that certain, as I would imagine, as a full-time musician. You have to have that tenacity of keep on creating, keep on doing, because you never know when certain things are going to hit. And personally, even with the podcast, I find that's probably the biggest struggle. You know, you enjoy what you do, you enjoy your art, and you keep creating to create. And wherever the wind blows, it might blow that leaf of a song in front of somebody that takes you in a new direction, which is great. You know, and that's why we do social media, and that's why we dangle the little lure of who we are out in the marketplace to people see us out there. Now, I also had seen that you played in two places. One I'm very familiar with, which is Industry in Huntington, and then you did something in Amityville. But tell me about what you did in Industry. It's a cute little place right just north of the Paramount on New York Avenue in Huntington Village.
Yeah, Industry's really cool. I guess it was a while ago I did a show there, and it was just with a lot of local artists. It was a big turnout. And the Amityville Music Hall, that was Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
And the Industry show was just a solo acoustic show. And Amityville Music Hall was with the band. And that was a big one. We filmed it, we recorded it, and I got the audio and I mixed it myself and edited all the videos together. And so we kind of have a full concert that you could check out on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
And I chopped that up into little bits, and I've been, posting that on Instagram and everything. And 2 days ago, I posted the one cover that we played, which was Mind Games.
Okay.
John Lennon, and the official John Lennon account shared it.
Oh,
which
really?
was really cool. Yeah, it was really exciting. So that brought in some new followers and friends. I started talking to a bunch of people that came to my account through that.
Oh, nice.
But,
yeah. I've gotten some guests through Instagram as well. My daughter's a great influencer, to me at least, on how to position it, and really just reaching out through Instagram itself, and I still annoy probably a hell of a lot of artists, which is like, I got to get you on the podcast. I keep throwing the invitation out, and hopefully I'll hook them. But it's a good medium to work in. It's just I find it so kind of fascinating. Now, Amity Hall, isn't that the one that's like kind of wide and on the second floor of a building, if I'm correct, or is it different?
It's not on the second floor. It's Amityville Music Hall used to be called the Broadway, and I think it had a few other names too over the years. I probably played one of my first shows there.
Okay.
When I was 15.
All right.
And I've been playing there at least 2 or 3 times a year since. So it's kind of been like a home base, or the my circle of musician friends. It's been like our CBGBs.
Nice.
If
you
not
said
Beery's, it was there.
So it is on the second floor, or it's not on the second floor?
It's not on the second floor. Although you do go upstairs to get inside.
Okay. You know what it is? I'm confusing that with a place in Lindenhurst, which has a second floor, and it's kind of like a wide setup with theater seating. It's kind of like a children's workshop theater that I saw Jim Small did something there. It was really kind of pretty cool. It was great for recording too, because just the way the room is set up, it's not very deep. The audience is very intimate and very, very close. So it was kind of neat. Tell me about the band that you've put together. So let's give some kudos out to the guys who play with you.
Sure. Well, Al Katkowski is on bass. I met him many years ago at an open mic night, and he runs a music night at Leaky Lifeboat on Merrick Road called 1 and 1, where he'll have local artists come in and they'll do one cover and one original.
Okay.
And then somebody else will come up and do it, and it kind of turns into like a Nashville-style song circle where you'll get up and do a short set multiple times throughout the night. It's been a great way that musicians can meet each other and work together, and he's been doing it a while, and he's an amazing person. There's also Derek Smith from Rice Cultivation Society and a band called Knot, he plays guitar. Johnny Potts on drums, and for that show,
is Potts his real name, or is that his drummer name?
That's his drummer name.
Okay.
And for that show,
like Alicia Keys, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, got it.
It's one of my favorite stage names I've ever heard, and I love calling him Johnny Potts.
Nice.
And on piano that night, we had Cole Forder, and that was his first show with us, and I'm hoping that he'll be playing with us more. I think he's going to school, but
Cole Fortier?
Yeah, I said his last name wrong.
Yeah,
but he's extremely talented.
Oh my God, I saw him, and his dad's a pretty renowned musician as well.
They both are. A very, very talented family.
So I got a quick plug on them. I went to the Nirma group in Huntington, and they do a show every 6 months, a themed show. They have, 40, 50, 60 artists. And it's really just a really nice community of people. And I interviewed the two guys who run it, Tom Moran and another guy named Steve, and his last name escapes me. And they spoke about the Fortiers covering Cat Stevens' Father and Son. And it was a father and son doing Father and Son. And let me tell you, when they did it, I got the chills. And then to watch, he is a true talent.
It was amazing.
He's like a Broadway singer's, type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the keyboard playing, and he played around with a couple of the other sets, and he was really amazing. So very fortunate to have him in the group.
Yes.
Hey, I want to talk to you about the open mic thing, because there's so many artists that I talked to that really got their boost or their courage by doing open mics. And I went to an open mic the other night. There's a place out in Bayport. It used to be called the Gray Horse Tavern. And now it's called People's Pub. And it's a great place. Nice restaurant, nice little stage, bar area. I interviewed David March, who's a bass player for Miles to Dayton and the Cassandra House Band. Really great guy. Nice guy, very talented guy. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing an open mic on such and such a date. I'm like, okay. He was like, it's only been reopened. By the way, the original owner of the Gray Horse now is the owner of People's Pub. And when I went there, I was like, the place is packed. I was not used to open mics being packed,
Mm-hmm.
It
must be a good one.
It was packed with musicians. They had over 35 people come up and play. I'm old, so I couldn't stay out late that night, but my friend Mike Nugent came along and ran into a lot of people in the music community. That's a place you should play for sure. It's really got a nice stage. It's just a perfect place. So
I used to host a open mic night in Lindenhurst at a place that's no longer there called The Spoon. I don't know if you remember it.
No.
It closed years ago, but for some reason I was like 16 and I went in there and I was like, do you need an open mic host? Do you want to have and they gave me a night and I hosted one. I think I did it for about 2 years. And that played a big part in me kind of getting comfortable alone up on, behind a microphone in front of a room full of people. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. There's another one. We just did a showcase at Carney's in Amityville. Pete, who owns Carney's, used to own Katie Daly's back in the day on Montauk Highway in Massapequa. And he has another guy in who does open mic on Mondays. That's pretty good. They got a little stage area in their dining room that works out pretty well. Hey, let's do this, Tom. Let's just take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk about the new release that you're coming up right around the time that this episode's getting released. Hey, everybody, stick with us. I'm Steve Yusko, your host of the Long Island Sound. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for the ultimate podcasting adventure? The Long Island Sound podcast offers you not one, but 2 ways to engage with our captivating content. Tune in to our audio podcast on your favorite platform and let your imagination paint vivid pictures of Long Island stories. Or if you're craving a visual feast, catch our video podcasts on Spotify and on the Long Island Sound YouTube channel. Double the options, double the excitement.
Everybody, we are back with singer-songwriter Tom Moran. Tom is gracing me with his second appearance here on the Long Island Sound podcast. I'm so happy to talk to you, Tom, again. But Tom, we were talking about open mics, and there's a common denominator for many artists where open mics really gave them, like you, the courage to sing and perform in front of people. So imagine, use your imagination here, imagine I'm a young singer-songwriter and I come up to you after an open mic that you're hosting and I say, Tom, what do I need to do? How can I make it? How can I be happy as a full-time musician? What's some of the advice that you would give that person?
Probably would be something very different than what I would have said even 2 years ago.
Okay.
But now I would say learn to do everything on your own. Get recording equipment and learn how to use it. Learn how to make an album with a laptop and one microphone, if you can. And you can, because it's easier than you think. It just takes experience messing around and learning as you go. I would say do cover gigs. It forces you to learn all your favorite songs, and you can get paid really well to get in front of a full bar on a Thursday, Friday night, or a wedding like I do, and you get incredible experience. You're going to get that 10,000 hours, as they say, in a lot faster that way. And when it comes to content, the dirty word content, get yourself into that. Start filming yourself in your process. Write a lot of songs. Don't worry about them being bad. In fact, you have to write a lot of bad ones to get to a good one. And I've been writing songs for over 20 years now, and that's still the way it is. Like, you got to write 5 crappy songs that you end up throwing away before you write the one that you're like, I like this one. I'm going to keep this one around.
Yeah, you make a good point. I remember a creative writing class I took in high school, and one of the things that stuck with me was, hey, don't throw anything out. Write it down. No. Put it down.
Even if you give up on it. If you think there's like something about this is good, you keep it in the voice memo, you put it in a folder, because you're going to go back and listen to that stuff and be like, I forgot about this. And maybe now you have an experience where you're like, you could take it in a different direction, or you know what to do. And one of the biggest things that I feel like I kind of figured out in the last 2 years is, if you have that moment of inspiration and you write a chorus or just something, there's a nugget, a melody or something, don't record it and say, okay, that's great, I'm going to come back to that and finish that another time. Finish the song that night.
In the moment.
If it's it's often 1 a.m. for me, and then I end up staying up till 3 a.m. trying to finish the song. It's just a first draft. Get the first draft done. Let a couple of the lyrics be cliche and kind of hokey. You're going to end up editing them, you're going to end up changing things, but when you first have that moment of inspiration, you have to finish the song. And or at least go until you know that you're not going to.
Yeah, and I'll validate that. I read, and I keep going back to Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act. I don't know if you know of that book.
I've listened to podcasts. I love listening to him talk.
Tragmanagration, it's some weird name, right? Yeah, I listened to a couple of them as well. And as an offshoot of that, I always wanted, my podcast too long, too short. I think he went on for like 2 hours and 20 minutes talking to his guests. I'm like, man, that's a stream of consciousness dive into things. But Rick Rubin's book, it's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I've listened to a few podcasts, and He has a lot of great
and
insights.
it's an easy read because they're really kind of short chapters. And the other validation I want to throw at you as well is Neil Young said the same thing. He said, if it hits you, stick with it, do it. Bang it out and work it. Because if you say, I got a piece that's good, I'll come back to it, you're a different person than at that moment when the muse kind of hit you.
Yeah, the inspiration is fleeting, and if you, I feel like there's something kind of mystical about it, or at least that's how I like to look at it. If you pass on it and you say, I don't need to go into this now, I'll save it for later, it's going to leave you. It's going to say, you don't want this inspiration? All right, I'm going to fly off and enter some other artist's bedroom or, writing space.
Right. So let's review. So the first thing you said is learn everything you can about the process itself, the recording process. We all have a studio, a video studio, a recording studio on our smartphones. Learn different recording software. I mean, I use Audacity. It's a real basic thing, but it's good enough for what I do to clean things up. And I've learned it over the past couple of years. Some really kind of neat tricks to make my squeaky Mickey Mouse voice sound a little bit better. So that's number one. What was number two?
I think I said do cover gigs, which is something I would not have said 2 years ago to somebody. I was very cool, or at least I thought I was. And many musicians are looked down on the whole cover gig thing, but it's only because they've never done it and they haven't experienced how beneficial it can be.
Right. And you reference the old 10,000 hour idiom, which basically, if you spend 10,000 hours doing anything, you're going to eventually get proficient at it or lose your mind and go crazy or both.
Yeah, and if it's singing live or playing live music, that's a muscle that you got to work out. If you say you're putting out your own original music and you play a few shows a year, when you get up for that rare show, you want to be really comfortable in front of a room full of people, and you want your voice to sound really good. You want to be comfortable on that microphone, and you're not going to be comfortable if you're only playing 3 shows a year. But if you're gigging 3-hour, 4-hour gigs, doing covers and throwing in your originals, you're going to be a lot better and a lot more comfortable, and that's what I get out of it.
Right. And I'll agree with you on that. We recently did a showcase, and I had many friends who were there, and I asked for their honest feedback, and the artist it was all originals, okay, which was great. His original music was really great. But the feedback I got was, hey, it'd be nice if you threw in some familiar stuff that we know to bring us in closer to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that it depends on, I guess, the kind of music you're playing.
Right.
For me, is the singer-songwriter with an acoustic guitar, or if I have the band, it's like kind of a classic rock vibe. I think playing 1 or 2 covers is a smart thing to do.
Right. It gives that familiarity, and it makes it's welcoming. But I agree with you on because I've heard the term this is the era of the tribute band, which
yeah, it seems to be, especially here on Long Island for sure.
Oh my God! And it's a money thing. You know what I mean? If it's going to draw a fan base that likes the original artist, right, who's familiar with the music, and there are great musicians out there that can emulate everything, like every lick about the Allman Brothers that ever played, which is interesting, but it's also can be confining too. I think a certain aspect, but money drives many things, and people want what they want.
I get it. Like, people want to go out and they don't want to go hear some obscure band they've never heard of before. They have no reason to trust that they're going to be any good.
Right. Right.
Yeah, a lot of bands complain about, like, oh, people don't support local music. It's like, well, give them something. if you played a couple of covers of songs that they might like, and you do it really good, maybe they'll have a really good time, and then they'll want to go out and see bands more.
I agree, and you'll grab their attention.
So yeah, it's kind of like the music scene or live music culture when it comes to original music is kind of doesn't really think too much about what the potential fans might want, because I certainly don't go out to a random bar on a Friday night and be like, I'm gonna go to a place where a bunch of local bands that no one's ever heard of are playing and really listen to them and find one that I can be passionate about. I don't do that.
Right. Right.
I don't think anybody does.
Yes, yeah. There's the party segment of I want to go out and have a great time and rock out.
But if I knew that there was a bar nearby where, I heard about the bands that play there, they put on a great show. I think that's how it was back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, all the bar bands, they were doing a lot of covers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They were putting on a show. They weren't going, all right, everybody shut up and listen to this song that I wrote.
Shut up and listen.
We're very artsy and take us very seriously. It was like, no, it's a party, and you're kind of hosting the party. Like, you got to give the people what they want. It's very true.
There's two things I learned over the past couple of years, and some insight from. He's a great blues guitarist. His name is Kerry Carney, and Kerry says, I know I'm successful with an audience when people get up to dance. Mm-hmm. And that's his threshold to say they're telling me they're enjoying it. And then we've had at our little beach club here in Babylon, we've had a couple of bands, and the requirement of the board was and it's mostly the ladies wanted this, we want something we could dance to. We're at a party. We want to dance
have a
and
good
celebrate.
Time.
So you got to accommodate that, The other thing, and this is going to be the old man bugaboo thing. The other thing that drives me crazy about venues, and maybe it's more now with a lot of the breweries that are popping up, right? Is there's it's not all of them. This is generalization, but they don't pay attention to the acoustics in their room, and you hear bands playing, and it's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a tin can because it's so echoing through. And it was, between the conversations that people are trying to have, just because you're social, and the echo just had a clash. And I won't name the brewery we went to, but it's just like the music was good, but it was just not being delivered in a place that was tuned to how the acoustic should be, Yeah,
I guess it's kind of an afterthought.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. But if they listen to the podcast, that's the advice I'm giving you guys who own breweries, because I drink beer and I give good advice. So, hey, tell us about the new release that's coming out. Tell me how it came about. When did you write it? And are you releasing just that song, or are you combining it in an EP, or what's your process?
Sure. So it's called New Daze. Daze spelled Daze.
Okay.
And I released my debut album a few years ago, and then I spent all this time recording the follow-up album in a studio, putting a lot of work into it, a lot of overdubs, a lot of layering, a lot of redoing stuff, a lot of back and forth, waiting for mixes, waiting for mix revisions. And all during that time, I'm at home and I'm producing stuff on my own and kind of getting better at producing music myself. And I guess my tastes may have changed, or maybe I fell out of love with all those songs because I spent so much time working on them.
Right.
But I got to a point where I would listen to the mixes of that second album that I was working on, and I just didn't feel anything anymore. And I don't want to release anything that I don't really feel anything about.
Sure.
So I decided, instead of doing a second album, I just want to record one song by myself, not show it to anybody, not ask anybody, hey, listen to this, let me know what you think, you know? Record it myself and put it out. And then once that song is out, I'm going to do another one. If it's once a month, once every other month, that's what it'll be. That's just what I want to do for a while, because I want to release a song while it's still happening.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Not, oh, I recorded that a year and a half ago, and I don't even relate to it anymore. Like, I want to record it and release it. You know, because that's where all the excitement is. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
why
right. And
I
you know,
do this.
from a consumption for the consumer side of it, you know, you're keeping things fresh for your audience. You know,
And it's going to keep me busy, and I need to be busy.
well, you know, I found we're going to listen to the song in a moment. But what I found interesting, one, I love it's you playing harmonica, correct?
Yeah, this one is very folky. I really wanted to do something that was a bit more stripped down.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked that song. I honestly, it's one of those songs I don't remember writing. I think I wrote it very quickly, and it just was in my phone. I don't even know what it's about, to be honest.
That's good. That's cool.
Yeah, it just kind of came together. I think it's about kind of new beginnings, letting go of the past, kind of looking forward at the unknown and being like, okay, it's unknown, and that it is what it is, and I'm going to stop being afraid of it.
Right.
I think that's what it's about, but it's open to interpretation.
Well, my impression was very, very hopeful. I do like how you orchestrated it with beginning with the harmonica, and then I think you ended with some strings in that. Am I correct?
Yeah, strings come in at the end.
Which is great, because it's really juxtaposes two aspects of the song. You know, your finger picking in that, you're coming in with harmonica, so that's a very folksy type of thing, and then it becomes, for me, a little more ethereal at the end, which has strings to me give, at least in this song, to me, my impression, a mystery. You know, as far as looking hopeful, because strings kind of just linger out, you know, in the airwaves. So that was, for what it's worth, that's an old man's impression.
I was going for a bit of a. I love writing string parts.
Okay.
And I love music that has strings, especially, you know, like older music that you know, it's a rock band, and then they have like an orchestra playing with it. I've always loved that. So I sometimes, if I hear it in my head, I can't help but add strings to a song.
Nice.
And the song has it's very simple. It has two acoustic guitars. One is on the right, one is on the left, and they're both playing different things. So it kind of has this dance happening there. And the harmonica, there's a very simple bass part, and then the strings, and that's about it.
Yeah, no,
and,
it's a beautiful song. So without further ado, hey everybody, check out New Daze. And we'll be right back after the song.
know if I'll come to find a place where I belong, a way to be defined. If I never do, I don't mind. 'What I really want is all I really need, a little bit of shelter to sit around and dream. But if you take a seat, I will be kind. 'Cause I'm trying to be a little more free to open the door, and I'll tell you what for. When I see you again, I'm gonna see you again. I just don't know when. Some things never change, but some things always do. So I don't really have a solid point of view. I just keep trying to stand here in the light. So I'm giving you up to new craze, and I'm living it up in a new daze. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. And I'm trying to be a little more free to open the door, and I'll tell you what for. And I'll see you again when I see you again. I just don't know when. I just don't know when. I just don't know when.
Hey everybody, we are back with Tom Moran. Tom, I'm really excited about the new releases that you have out. I like the approach you're taking of churning out these ice cream cones of songs every so often to keep everybody engaged. So I wish you all the best. What do you got coming up in the near future?
Well, the song is coming out March 6th. It already has gotten its premiere, though. About 2 days ago, Stony Brook, their radio station, gave the song its first spin on the air.
Nice.
John Ottavano, I have to thank him for that. So that was exciting, but it officially comes out. It'll be on Spotify, so go and give it a ton of streams if you can. Follow me on Instagram and all that at Tom Moran Tunes is my handle.
And we'll have it. We'll have everything in the description below, so you'll see
Perfect.
some hyperlinks there. Those are watching the video.
And the day after the song comes out, I'm playing a show in Brooklyn at a place called Sleepwalk on Bushwick Avenue. It's right by the subway station. It's a really cool spot, so I'm excited about that. Be a good way to celebrate the new song coming out. And I believe I'm going to be playing at Arlene's Grocery as well.
Oh, excellent.
In April. The exact date is not figured out yet, but as soon as I know it, I'm going to be promoting it. So
Great. Yeah, we did a show. I had 3 different groups play there. Their sound guy is the best. I mean,
one of the best places to play.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll help with what promotion we can with that. Hey Tom, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I really love your music, and I wish you all the best. And thanks for being on the Long Island Sound podcast.
Thank you, Steve. It's always great to talk to you. Hopefully we'll have another song coming out soon, and I'll be coming back.
All right. Be well, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate the time you spent with us. Please subscribe and comment and visit us at gigdestiny.com. Till next time, be generous with your joy, keep your spirits high, and let the music take you on a journey. Be well. Peace.